All right. Hello. Welcome back to the long-awaited, I guess, episode 2 of Chat Bandicoot, where we play Crash and just have light, breezy conversations about whatever. You may have noticed that we've switched from the brand new save file from last time to my almost 100% complete save file, just save for the Stormy Ascent relic, but I'll get into that another time. Or maybe later today, who knows. But, oops. Uh, Today, we're going to be talking about the Insane Trilogy itself. Makes sense as we've been playing this game for this part and last part. So let's talk a little bit about the game itself. If you'll remember, um, last episode I talked about the Crash series as a whole. I kind of gave each game a quick little rundown, but oh my god, I can't get that box. Cool. Oh shit. There we go. All right. All right. Okay. There we go. Um, Last time we gave each. Oops. Oh my god. Doing great so far. We're doing great. I talked about the Crash Bandicoot series kind of as a whole, why it's such an important series to me, why it's my favorite video game series of all time. I went over a brief history of each game that I played while I was growing up, while it was new, um, that sort of thing. But I deliberately left out talking about the Insane Trilogy, and that is because this game's release was something else for me entirely. It was such a unique experience. I have never been that excited for a new video game before, and I don't think I've been that excited since, if I'm being honest. Well, maybe for CTR. But as I mentioned last time, I didn't really play CTR all that much growing up, but I played, especially Crash 2 and 3 a lot when I was younger. It was 2 was the first game I played, as I mentioned. But um, let's talk a little bit about the circumstances surrounding Crash Insane Trilogy. So for the longest time, there just was no new Crash game. It was a really dormant franchise. But then in, I want to say around 2013, 2014, I remember hearing rumors from a YouTube channel. Specifically, the channel was called Jeremiah Isaiah, and he had called a former Activision employee who ran a sandwich shop. And at the time, the 20th anniversary of Crash was just around the corner. And the sandwich shop guy basically confirmed that Activision was indeed planning something for the series' anniversary, the milestone that was coming up. Nothing had been done with it since, I think, like 2009 or something, save like a couple mobile games. But it was very, it was really exciting. So the rumors were just kind of rumors. They stayed in the back of my mind, but at that point I was in grade 9, and it wasn't until I was in grade 11. I remember I was writing my finals, actually. It was like in between two of my finals that E3 2016 happened, where Insane Trilogy was officially unveiled. Um, Walks on stage with the music and he says, Crash 1, 2, 3, they're coming out, they're being remade. They're going to put Crash and Skylanders first. The whole crowd went silent, which was really funny. And I remember the months in between the game being announced and the game coming out were just agony. It was like, wow, this game is like, I've been wanting this for years since I was a kid. Where is it? And then I think it was around like December 2016 we finally got the announced trailer, like the name of the game, the first gameplay footage, and seeing what he was going to look like. And I remember thinking that he looked a little bit strange at first. I think a lot of people felt Insane's art style was a bit strange, and I'd be lying if I said I was on board right away. It did take some time, but I think to this day it's still one of the best designs that Crash has ever had. It did have to grow on me. It's a lot better than what came before, and it's definitely a lot better than what came after. But it was still just such a it was so surreal to see him finally back in such a HD, like, it was just, they took what I remembered from the PS1 and they just sort of like upped it, and they made a couple changes too, like his little strings on his jeans. I thought they were supposed to be sweatpants at first, and then they came out in an interview, I think the head developer or something, and said no, those are he's not wearing sweatpants, he's wearing swim trunks. And I remember that specifically, thinking that's so smart, because, like, you know, the first game is a very tropically themed game. There's a lot of beaches, so it makes perfect sense that he would be wearing swim trunks. And because he's a shorter guy, they would okay, because he's a shorter guy, they would look like pants. You know, it all just tracked. It all just made sense. You know, no complaints from that on that end. But finally, you know, I would watch like new gameplay videos whenever they would come out. Whenever like new cutscenes would release or like new demos would show up, I would be on board. I would try to watch basically as much pre-release content of the game as I could find. I was so obsessed. I was so excited when the release date got announced. I went to my local GameStop. Well, in Canada at the time they were called EB Games. They went back. I think they're back to the GameStop name, but I feel like I've also heard that they're going back to EB Games, so I just don't know. I don't think they even know at this point, if I'm being honest. But I remember the release of the game was about like around the same time that I graduated from high school. So I remember a lot of my like final semester projects, because I did a lot of like art stuff. I did a lot of like creative courses. I remember doing a lot of like Sane Trilogy themed stuff because I was just so excited. And I remember someone told me actually that I talked about Crash so much that everyone thought that I was a furry, which is not true, by the way. Like, if you are, fine, but it's just that I'm just not about that lifestyle. I just really love the games. I just have a connection with the character. That's it. That's as far as it goes for me. But everyone was really like, everyone knew that I was excited for it. Everyone knew. Like, it's all I would talk about, basically. I was obsessed, you know. I was so hyped. I was so excited. I was just over the moon, ready to go, you know, just raring for it to go. And then when the game finally came out, I remember biking all the way down to the local EB Games, because the job I was working at, my first job, I was just a dishwasher. I think I definitely had that job like right before I graduated. So I wasn't even 18 when I was working, when I first started working there. But so I remember biking all the way to my job, grabbing my check, biking all the way back to my bank to deposit it, then having to bike way back to the EB Games to pick up my pre-order, and then I finally go home, and just it was all over. It was just everything that I had been hoping it was. Playing all these games, the nostalgia flooded back. I remember like looking it up online. I remember trying to find all the merch that I could at like any kind of store. The time trials, and oh my god, when Stormy Ascent first dropped, I my confession is I still haven't fully beat Stormy Ascent. Like, I've gotten the gem for it, obviously, but the time trial, I still haven't quite gotten there. It's been it's a bit of a challenge for me. I've been very on and off with it. I'll get there eventually. I'm sure I'll get it eventually, but it's just, I tried doing it and it was just insane. I couldn't do it. Eventually, I think I was trying that for like 2 weeks solid. I had to call it quits. I had to say, listen, I can't do this no more. I did my best. I tried my hardest, but it's just beyond me. But it was still a fun level. It was really fun to explore just like basically new content for an old game. I know that Stormy Ascent was technically a cut level, so it's not new content, but it was new to me, alright? So, like, calm down. Just calm down. And then on top of that, the YouTuber Some Call Me Johnny, his gaming channel did a playthrough of Sane Trilogy. So when I wasn't, playing the games for myself, I was watching someone play it, and they had a very similar response that I did. The only difference was that they had continued to play the games, like into adulthood, whereas I had to stop because our PlayStation stopped working. So I didn't have that same ability to like just keep playing them over and over. So Insane was the first time I'd played these old Crash games since definitely like mid 2000s, and it felt pretty good. It felt like there was a little bit of a struggle. It wasn't like the easiest game to get back to. There was a little bit of a learning curve, especially with like the different hitboxes in this, which if you don't know, PS1 Crash is kind of like shaped like a box in terms of like where he'll land, but Insane is more kind of like a cylindrical pill. So there's a lot more of a he's more likely to slip off, basically. So that took a little bit of getting used to. I also remember trying to convince some of my friends to try the games out, and if you've been following me since the Pushing Buttons days, you'll remember we actually did play Crash Bash, but that was way after. I remember Aiden ended up buying it because he played, was it Wrath of Cortex? No, he played, Lost City, gross. He played Nitro Kart, so he had a little bit of a connection with Crash too, and then he was like, you know what, you love Crash a lot, and Aiden, I love the guy, he's very open-minded. He's like, you know what, you like Crash, I want to try a new experience, I'm willing to get it for my Switch. And I remember being such a just such a bastard about how Crash looked, which isn't really all that fair. Like, you're young, you have like different opinions, you think you know everything, but he looks fine. Like he looks, you're sacrificing the fur to be able to play it wherever you want, and in my case it's just more convenient to do it this way, if I'm being real. But I convinced him. I convinced my friend Chloe to try it, and she had a time with it. I convinced one of our other friends to try it, and he didn't have a great time because he just wasn't really into platformers. But it's okay. Pretty much everyone that I would talk to, I would like try to get them to like at least try a couple levels, and not everyone was into it. Some people were just like, you know what, honestly, I don't have the patience, and it's fine. I would definitely say that Crash is an acquired taste, but like, if you can't get into it, it's fine. It's totally fine. I won't turn my nose up at you out loud, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna be a huge jerk about it. But it was definitely so for a solid like year, it was landlocked on PlayStation, which wasn't an issue for me because I had one, but I was the only one of my friends that had a PS4. Most of my friends are on Switch or Xbox One. So when the multi-console release was announced, it was even easier to convince my friends to try it out because you can get it for your system. You don't have to get used to the PlayStation controller. You can adapt with your control setup that you're already used to, and it kind of helped a little bit. I think a couple people definitely went for it, but again, it's just not really everyone's kind of game, which is unfortunate because, like I said, I absolutely love this series, the character, and Insane especially was just it sounds kind of silly to say about a video game, but for me it was just like a life-changing experience. It definitely was a core memory, as they say. It was absolutely a core memory. Doing the Crash warped cheat and so if you don't know, PS1 Crash and Spyro games had little cheat codes, starting with Warped, where it would give you access to the other games. So you do it in Warped, you get access to a demo for the first Spyro game. You do it in the first Spyro game, you get a couple levels from Warped. That's kind of why Crash and Spyro are so strongly linked in people's minds, because they're, in a way, their sister series, but not like, they don't take place in the same universe or anything. Or maybe they do. I don't know. They do, they don't. It's just, they coexist. Crash and Spyro know each other. They like went to college or something. Well, Crash probably isn't educated, but Spyro is. But we're just gonna tank through this, because who likes those? But so if you were to put the same code from the PS1 onto the Warped title screen, you would get, like, your cursor would disappear, which kind of seemed to imply that there was that there might have been something there, like that they were planning something, but it's not entirely, we weren't entirely sure. And then the Spyro remakes were announced, and if you were to put that code in, you would get the gameplay trailer for Spyro, which was really cool. And then they updated the game again to add the CTR trailer, but they also made it so that you can just press a button to watch the trailers, which I guess is more convenient. I think the codes still work. I actually haven't tried it in a long time, because both of those games are already out now. I've already played both of them so many times. It's not much of a reason to, unfortunately. But for a while, it was cool. You could kind of see that there was something coming on. They were cooking up something, but I guess just sort of in closing, that's kind of where I'm at with Insane. It's still a game I love a lot. It's still a game that holds a very special place in my heart. It does kind of suck that the games that came out after Crash Team Racing haven't really been the best. Like, I know 4 did get a lot of positive reviews, but honestly, it just didn't feel like the same series to me, and I'll probably end up going into this more when I inevitably play that, either on my channel or Noelle's, because she's been asking me to play it, or maybe even on this series way down the line, who knows. But it just, or maybe by then my opinions will change, but it just didn't really feel like Crash to me. It kind of just felt like you could have taken Crash out and put like Sonic or any other kind of like platformer character, and it would have been by and large the same game. It doesn't really have the Crash like energy, like, it didn't feel like this is a Crash game. It felt like this is like a different character wearing Crash's skin, And anyway, I'm not going to ramble about 4 while we're talking about Insane, because Insane is just, in my eyes, it's the way better game. It does have its problems. It sure does. Hitboxes can be slippery. Time trials are pretty unforgiving. But I like it, It does it for me. And that's kind of all I really have to say. I'm really hoping a new game comes out, even if I wasn't that impressed with Team Rumble. I didn't even bother with Team Rumble, if I'm being honest. It just wasn't doing it for me. But anyway, that's my thoughts on the Insane Trilogy. I know it's a little bit more rambly, but I hit all the major points that I wanted to hit. Please tell me about your memories with Insane down below. Also, if you have any suggestions for other topics you'd like to see me cover on this show, please feel free to write them down below. We can talk about anything you want, any kind of topic you think is fun. I do have a couple that I'm not really that willing to touch, but generally, as long as things are kind of positive, I don't really have an issue with talking about them here. But thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope this was worth the wait.